Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bare Knuckle Podcast. As always, I am joined by the man behind the Apollon brand, Robert Samborski. Again, now that I think about it, you are the only man in the Apollon brand. You're all surrounded by females.
Yep. Call
And
it lucky or maybe miserable. I don't know.
And then we've got supplement reviewer, supplement enthusiast, Mr. Dave Cook of the What's Cooking product review line. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Good to be here.
And we're waiting for our guest of honor. Again, I think he's in Australia. I can only assume it might be 8 o'clock. I don't know. It's whatever, but he should hopefully be on shortly. But Robert, I guess we'll just start off with the obvious here. You dropped your greens Friday. How's it going?
Very good. Very good. I was actually just talking to Shane and, Patrick from Aris. I didn't expect such attention that, typically you get a lot of attention when you release a pre-workout because for obvious reasons, but this particular product got, I don't know, definitely not less attention, probably just as much as Fuck Mediocre or Desperado. I mean, it's pretty impressive. But on the other hand, not to toot my own horn, but it is a pretty impressive product.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because you, out of the hundreds of greens, you might be one of 3, 4, 5 that are really transparent? By 5, I might be giving out more than I'm expecting.
I think so. I think that people kind of caught on the whole scam of, oh, these greens taste great, because greens typically taste like shit. So everybody's looking for great tasting greens. And you have a couple, I'm not going to name them because you obviously know. And, they not fully transparent. They proprietary blends that have 3, 4, 5 grams and they taste fairly okay.
Yep.
And now everybody says, oh, they great, but they're not. At the end of the day, they're really terrible. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. So that's the reason why it took us, I think, 2 years, maybe longer than 2 years, because we wanted something that tastes good. And by good, I mean acceptably good. I'm not going to say that it's delicious because it's not aminos or anything like that or protein, but it tastes good. But at the same time, fully transparent. And we've been through 3 manufacturers to get this right. In fact, with this particular manufacturer, we worked for a second time only. They're known for the amazing flavors. We had to pay a little bit more than we were expected it, but we made sure that it tastes good. And at the same time, the formula, you've seen it yourself, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I have to order it, but between us here, I mean, is it a little bit of kind of still a little wheatgrassy, or is it a little bit really flavorful?
It's flavorful. It's definitely flavorful. I mean, you can tell it's greens because it is, and it's green. Yeah. But at the same time, it's really flavorful. And we went through 7 or 8 flavors, even from this company, to select 2. It wasn't an easy process at all.
And then Marina was all over this too. What was her involvement?
The formulation mostly the formulation. She didn't go as much into taste because she's not as hands-on when it comes to the company itself in terms of taste and stuff like that. She has what she takes. She takes obviously collagen, multivitamins, fish oil, and she's an athlete after all. So for her, taste is not as much. She wants to make sure that the formula is on point. Mm-hmm. And when she puts her name on a container, she cannot fuck it up. So that's the most important aspect for her, was obviously the formula. And then we obviously, we're much more concerned with the flavor because, let's face it, with greens, it's a little bit challenging.
Yeah. Well, I think Robert is, we've talked about before. I think seeing, as you just mentioned, the great reaction that fans are giving to this is just showing you the evolution of your company. You know what I mean? Going from, more like sports supplements to the health line. I mean, and that's great to see this continuing to evolve. And I've said this before, I've said this to you and others before. I actually just get just as excited when I see the health line stuff expanding, because I mean, that's the stuff that's really going to keep, in your cabinets for time and time and time again. Certain pre-workouts you might want to buy once or twice, but stuff like this, greens, the fish oil, you keep that forever. And that's great.
I couldn't agree more, because at the end of the day, if you look at supplements such as pre-workouts, right, it's very easy to put on the market something that would be a stim junkie pre-workout, something that will hit you hard. Typically, those stimulants are not very expensive. You just throw a bunch together, and we know of those companies that just throw a bunch of stimulants together regardless of anything else, and it's going to hit you. And then that particular market is actually very small. It's tiny. because they care more about the euphoria and almost to a point of getting high on a pre-workout rather than performance, and the performance ingredients, your vasodrive and your Southflow 6 and those ingredients and CDP choline, that's what's expensive. Those ingredients are very, very expensive, but that's what drives the performance aspect of your pre-workout. And certain companies just don't give a shit about it. That's usually not the ingredients that you will find in those products. And if you will, typically they severely underdosed. I mean, typically, because like I said, that's most of the time that's the case. So, but that market is very, very small. You might see them jumping on certain review channels, feeds and saying certain things and saying, oh, this is the greatest pre-workout. But that market is extremely small. It's the health supplements, the protein. I mean, you have customers today that are very, very well educated. Before it was just bodybuilding, then it was the stem junkies. Now it's well-rounded. Now you have people, your housewives, kids, they use supplements as well. So it's such a wide market, and nothing is more important, especially what we witnessed a couple of years ago with the whole craziness that we had with COVID and stuff like that. I mean, we witnessed that people now are very, very concerned about their health, and they want to put whatever's best in their bodies, and those ingredients are also expensive. So to see Apollon growing beyond just a kick-ass, badass pre-workout such as Fuck Mediocre or Hooligan or Assassin, and to see that people are welcoming and raving about things like greens or our multivitamins or our fish oil. I mean, obviously, it's very, very impressive. It's flattering, and I think that that's what moves the company in the right direction. And that was one of the main reasons to separate Anarchy Labs from Apollon Nutrition. And I think that was probably one of the best decisions we've made.
Yeah.
I got to give a shameless plug here because you missed this one here. I'm sipping on this now as we speak. Your hydration formula. And I actually give it to my son. A lot of people don't think about it. When he does snowboarding in the winter, I give that to him because I think some people always think hot. But for the winter months, you're losing a lot of water and salt and minerals and everything else. That's another good way to use it as well.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you go today to the gym, even Apollon, I think, is a great example because Apollon is considered a hardcore gym, old school gym. And only a couple of years ago, 5, 7, 8 years ago, you would walk into Apollon, all you will see is muscles, big guys, hardly any women. And if it's a woman, that most likely she's an NPC or an IFBB competitor or a powerlifter. Today, you can see it's a mixed crowd. And those are your customers. They're not necessarily looking for biggest biceps. They're looking for something that's healthy, something that will help with their performance. And there is still a market for high stem products like Hooligan, like Assassin, and it's great, But I always said, if you're looking only for stimulants, that product is not for you. Because we're not trying to put just the stimulants, it's the other ingredients too. So it's the other ingredients plus whether you want the high stem or low stem, you have choices. But you have to be a little bit more, you have to expand into other regions, so to speak, because you have a wide market. And if you're not going to pay attention to it, you're going to lose. Because, I mean, look, check companies such as, for example, Cellucor, right? Optimum Nutrition. I said it before, you hardly see them using bodybuilding for advertising or anything like that. And, you don't see them that much on review channels or anything either. But you will see them at Costco, you will see them at Walmart, you will see them in mainstream America, you will see them overseas, in Europe, everywhere. They're doing phenomenal. Why? Because they're not targeting a specific group of people, whether it's stem junkies or bodybuilding or powerlifting. They actually targeting everybody. And that's the reason why they're doing so well.
Yeah. One last thing to add in on the greens here, Robek. How many pre-workouts do you see being released a week? I mean, it's probably 4 or 5, right? To see a company come out with a greens product, I mean, that is so few and far between that, making a splash like that, that's really going to open some eyes and turn some heads when you say, okay, Apollon's got a greens now. The catalog is expanding even further because all these pre-workouts, I mean, gosh, you're fighting over 5, 6, 7 that are coming out a week. I mean, what an endless battle that is.
And most of them look exactly the same. Most of them are literally the same. It's the same ingredients. It's the same thing. Sometimes I'm asking myself, like, why the fuck do you release this pre-workout if it's exactly the same pre-workout as everybody else? Why don't you try to stand out? Why don't you do something different? Why don't you take a chance? Why don't you do a little bit of research? but nobody bothers. It's the same one. There is a lot of blood. There is a lot of guts. There is a lot of demons and God knows what else, and clowns. It's pretty much the same shit.
Yeah.
I almost feeling not trying to kiss your ass, Robic, that you guys are almost at the point now that you can just drop whatever it's going to be, and it's going to be a bang. You could put Apollon on a candle, and I think you guys sell out.
But that's a reputation, that takes years and years to build. It's very, very easy to hire somebody, pay them a lot of money, and, case in point, and I'm not trying to criticize right now Hostile, because I think Hostile is a good company. I think that they have decent products. But you've seen what happened with Samsung. You can't you can, if you have money, if you're financially good, and you can hire somebody to say that you have the best product on the market. And again, I'm not speaking right now of Hostile, just in general. You can have a crappy product, but you're going to get some influencer or somebody who has a clout and, has a following. You will have him proclaim that this is the best product on the market. People that are not knowledgeable will buy the product 100%. But that has like a little spike, and then it dies down. To accomplish something like Apollon accomplished, like NutraBio has accomplished, that takes years. That takes years to get over that following, that customer base, and that can only be achieved by consistently releasing good products and wide variety of products that are for everyone, not just for one specific group of people.
Yep. Rob, there was a question that came in here. I'll just read it off. It says, in roughly 3 weeks, Apollon dropped moderate stim Desperado to high stim F mediocre. Was the plan to have such diversity?
Yes, 100%. I'm going to lie if I'm not going to say that, marketing is part of business, and we are a business after all. And the whole point was, I said it to Shane before. I said that the whole point about what our target is for this year is diversity, is to make sure that we hit different aspects of this business, because it's a supplement business. And if we release something like Desperado, everybody was surprised, even though we were kind of building it up for about a month or two, if not longer. We released something like Desperado, and I heard people saying things like, "Oh, look, Apollon is changing." Well,
Yeah.
we didn't change, because here's fuck mediocre, So we still stay true to our roots, and we offered something that is a completely two different. I don't remember who was saying it. Somebody said that. I think Aaron from Review Brothers. Aaron, in his review, said that fuck mediocre and Desperado are two completely different products. But now you have choices. So I think that diversity speaks highly of the fact that we are willing to do whatever it takes to cater not just to one group of people, not just to one market, but to different markets. And we went from Desperado, we went to fuck mediocre, completely opposite way, and then we landed with greens. And when I tell you off the record, when we're done filming this, what's coming next, you're gonna go like, what the fuck? It's completely gonna be different direction. And I think that's the beauty about it. I'm really, really enjoying where Apollon is right now.
Yeah.
Well, see,
it's something for everyone. I mean,
Something for everyone. Yeah, you can't do. There are companies who are. Don't get me wrong. I'll give you two examples, and I can say it because it's not a knock on them. It's just a fact. Take, for example, a company like Dark Labs, right? It's pre-workout actually three companies. Pre-workout after pre-workout after pre-workout, and it's pretty much about the same. It hits hard. It's a high stam. You already know what to expect. There are a few times where they mentioned that they're going to go mainstream. That didn't happen, and I think it's good. They stuck to their guns. Like I said previously, they doing whatever works for them. So you have Dark Labs doing exactly the same, targeting the same market. Great. Then you have a company like Muscle Sport. It's already predictable that they're about to launch another protein flavor. It's protein flavor after protein flavor and after protein flavor. Now, is it a bad thing? I don't know. Clearly they doing well. They're doing well, and they're successful in what they do. And maybe that's what they want to do. They want to stick to that market, that they offer a wide variety of protein flavors. And, they're pretty dominant in that section. They're doing really well. Again, I'm not one to criticize, because it's not my place. Clearly it works for them. Great. And that's they kind of approach. And if you take Panda is collaboration after collaboration after collaboration.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit tired of it, but again, if that works for them, if that's their way of doing, running their company and it works for them, it's great. I just believe in variety. I also am highly competitive with myself. So I think that you always have to do something different. You have to evolve. You have to do something, you got to take risk. And that's the reason why, for example, Ghost did great with supplements. Then they did collaborations with, they were the first to really hit collaborations with different major mainstream brands.
Yep.
And then they went with energy drinks, and they succeeded in everything they've done. But they're really multidimensional. I'm very, very impressed with what Ghost has done.
Yeah.
So, Dave, I'll ask you this. It was sorry, one of the questions here, and Rob will defer to you in a minute here. Are collaborations being overdone? Because I know, Dave, you're obviously you're doing reviews, lots and lots of reviews, more than I have, and you seem to be more plugged in sometimes. Are collaborations getting overdone?
Yes and no, I think. Yes, in the general scheme of trying to, come up with just like a license of flavor. Do I think that that's overplayed? Yes. Like you take these companies that are just, getting like, this, no offense to these guys, but like, you take Rise, okay, you got, Jet Puff Marshmallows or Skippy Peanut Butter. So they're just going after a flavor. Now, the collaborations between other companies, sometimes that might run its course, but I think it's still kind of fun. Panda Subs and V1 this past week, they did a collaboration with KJ and Panda. They had 3 different pre-workouts that they released. Stuff like that can be kind of interesting on time to time. Again, and this is not tooting your horn, Robert, but what I like what you guys did was that collaboration with the pastry chef. That's something that's out of the box, that's a little bit different. And so I don't think collaborations are necessarily overplayed if there's something unique about them. Just to do something just to say we did it, I don't know. I mean, it might bring some hype initially. Does it fall off the table after that? Does it have any staying power? I don't know. I've heard that, I haven't had it myself, but that the Ghost, like some of these, like the Chips Ahoy or that the Oreos, that's a hit or miss with a lot of people. They didn't love them. Some people really liked it. So is that even worth collabing if people don't associate it with tasting spot on? It's a tough call, but I do think we are seeing a lot of it, and it would be nice to see some fresh ideas thrown into the mix too.
And you know what? Somebody asked me a question on Instagram. Somebody asked me, like, what's more important, the formula or the flavor? And I answered obviously the formula, but I'm 100% convinced that I'm probably one of very few, that would answer that way, because people are putting such tremendous. Even today, like when something is released, like brand releases a product, you will see one of the very first questions is going to be, what does it taste like? Well, it might taste great, but it might be a shitty product. I mean, are you willing to pay for something that tastes great, but it's a shitty product? Because I think that the whole point of supplements, it's kind of went sideways now. We are seeing cookies being advertised, and we are seeing protein bars that are just as bad as your regular as your regular bars that are sold at 7-Eleven. There's nothing healthy about them. They're actually pretty bad. So we're advocating a healthy lifestyle and supplements that actually help people to get healthier and better and fitter. But at the same time, we're putting emphasis on, like you said, collaborations with. There is nothing wrong. Like you brought up the collaboration that we've done with Pastry Chef. Yes, we have. But at the same time, it was based on one of his popular pastries. But when you look at the macros, it was the same thing that we do. It was a 50-50 Formula X. It was just your regular isolated casein, but that tasted like one of his pastries. That I think is fine. And again, I'm tuning my own horn right now, but I think there is nothing wrong. I couldn't agree more with Dave. Collaborations are fun. They should continue, but they should continue only if they are unique. And the emphasis still should be put on performance or health. We should not we should not step away from the purpose. And the purpose of supplements was supposed to either help with athletic performance or to be healthy. That's the whole purpose, not for something to taste good, but also have terrible macros, or to be like really the opposite of healthy. And we're seeing that a lot, where emphasis is put on that. And I've seen a couple of collaborations where like, oh, this flavor is amazing, it's outstanding, this protein is amazing, it's crazy great. Then you turn around and you see another ingredients. It has sugar, it has honey, it has ingredients that shouldn't really be there. They're not exactly very healthy, but that gets completely ignored.
Yeah.
Well, that should be probably the number one aspect where everybody should look. Look, this formula is great. This is healthy. This is good for you. Oh, and it tastes actually pretty good. It should be, the taste should be following that. That should be a bonus. That should be something great, something nice, but not as a priority. Because what you're telling me now is, oh, look, this collaboration with cookies or whatever, or Oreo or whatever it is, it tastes exactly like Oreo. It tastes phenomenal. Good. What about the supplement facts? What about the ingredients? Is it actually good for you? Is it healthy? Or you're just paying for something to taste? But if something tastes like Oreo cookie and the macros are not exactly very good, then how about me just grabbing Oreo cookie? Might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that too, because I think that's a lot of these things. Like we're giving these companies a pass with inclusions too. All of a sudden, these whey isolates are gone from like 120 calories up to like 150 calories because it's got real cookie pieces in it. And for someone like me, I don't eat cookies. I don't want necessarily big chunks of cookies or big cereal pieces all the time. Little flakes or something, okay, cool. But yeah, when it starts to get macros gets thrown out of whack, and you look at the other ingredients, and the first ingredient in other ingredients is like cookies or, you know, graham cracker pieces or something like that. Yeah, it's out of control.
Well, let me ask you this, Robert. Maybe you know the answer or not. You did 2 collaborations. You did one with Panda. You did one with Ninja. Do you know, from a financial standpoint, did you break even? Did you make any money on it? Or is it just more just, you know, collaborating just for collaborating?
I think collaborations in general, I think Panda is definitely more right now the model that they're doing. They're trying to make money off of it, because that's pretty much essentially what they do is collaborations. Every other product is a collaboration. We did collaboration with Panda. Did we make money? Yes, we did.
Okay.
100%. But it's a limited run. It's mostly done for hype. It's done for attention. And, you know, it's not, I mean, it's nowhere near where it would be Bare Knuckle or Hooligan or Assassin, you know, one of those. But like I said, it's fun to do collaborations between the companies, but I think it should be a little bit more fun. Like, for example, you know, it would be fun if, I'm not going to take Panda now, for example. I'm going to take Morphogen, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Morphogen, that, you know, they have pretty good products. It's a smaller company, but they have decent formulations. They have decent products. It's a reputable brand on a smaller side. But if Morphogen did a collaboration with Cellucor, now that would be interesting, because that's completely opposite. That's something that would draw attention. But if you had Morphogen doing collaboration with, I don't know, Apollon Nutrition, it's pretty much, I don't think it's that exciting. You know, we did with Panda, okay, once it was fun. It was also in the beginning of, I think that was Panda's second collaboration, and it was our maybe first with another company.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was done. And then Panda went on to do another 99 collaborations with other companies. And we were like, okay, that doesn't interest us anymore. You know, let's do something with Pastry Chef like we did, or something that we did with Ice Cream Place, you know, or something maybe with another supplement store where we're going to do a flavor or something like that. Or even, you know, two products like Apollon Nutrition products, like we do with Bloody Hell and Hooligan. You know, something like that that would be different, something that would be very, very diverse. That's what's interesting, I think, to me, at least to me. But if, like, I use Muscle Sport, for example, if it works for Muscle Sport to release a protein flavor every week, why not? It's great.
Yep.
It works for them. Good. I think it's great. Should I copy them and do what they do? No, because then I wouldn't be Apollon Nutrition. I would be Muscle Sport copying I would be Apollon Nutrition copying Muscle Sport, and everybody would know that. Everybody, it would be very noticeable, and maybe even they wouldn't have the balls to say anything, but it would be pretty obvious to see what I'm doing. You have to find your own thing. You have to do your own thing, and that's it. And if that works, stick to it. That's great. But the thing is like Dave said, it's still, the collaborations can be great if they're unique. I think unique is the key. But if it's the same thing, sooner or later, something that is a surprise today, it's not a surprise tomorrow. It doesn't work twice or three times. And
Yeah.
that's the reason why companies are doing well when they innovate, when they take a risk, maybe. Like Glaxon, for example, did with their labels, right? When their labels came out, I was like, what the fuck is that? But it got my attention. It got my attention. Some people loved it, and some people didn't love it at all. But we all, it got our attention because they did something outside the box, and that was pretty cool.
Since you're part of labels, Robic, so go back now to 14, 15 when you're just starting. Okay, and I've seen some of the original labels. I think you posted a couple here and there of the Apollon, and look at it now. Do you feel that when companies are coming out with products, that it really is like 50% effort into the ingredients and 50% effort into the labels now?
Oh,
By
100%.
label, I mean graphic.
Don't get me wrong. Our labels, our first labels were absolute trash. I mean, they were terrible. Nice. Yeah, they were absolutely trash. It's embarrassing. But today we can look at it as a joke. It was funny. Somebody even said it looks like somebody made it in the basement, which is kind of true. It's funny, but it's true. The thing is that, yes, how labels stand out on a shelf, it's a tricky question, because a nice looking label will definitely draw your attention without a doubt. Just like a nice collaboration will draw your attention.
Yep.
But still, what's more important is the label, the collaboration, the flavor, or the formula. I mean, for me, it's the formula, 100%. I'll be impressed with the label. I'll talk about it. I'll be impressed maybe with collaboration. I'll be impressed with those things. But at the end of the day, it's still the formula that is important. And I'm glad to see that the market has shifted definitely in a direction where a lot of people are paying attention to it. People are actually paying attention now to what's inside. Even the questions that we get asked on a daily basis. Are you using this type of protein? Are you using that type of protein? Is your caffeine this? Is your caffeine that? And those are important questions to ask. That means that people care more and more what they put in their bodies. That's the reason why reviews, there has to be accountability. You are responsible for, if somebody is watching, if a kid is watching your review, then if you're going to say, oh, this product tastes amazing, oh, this product gave me energy, really? How about you pop 3 caffeine pills or go take triple espresso or something like that? That will give you energy for sure. Does it mean it's a good product? What else is that product providing?
Robert, let me ask you a question. I would say that your labels, for the most part, are, and this is not a negative term, predictable. You know what I mean? Like, so when the greens comes out, we know what the Apollon label is going to look like, just on a white container, black container, whatever. There was a period in time, obviously, where Chris Waldron was working with you guys, doing some really, really out of the box creative stuff. Do you look back at that and look at those labels? Do you view that as, kind of like your one-offs? Do you like how that was at that time, where you guys were doing something completely different? Like take like a Triumph or something like that looked totally different than anything else. Do you like that, something that stood out so much like that? Or do you like some familiarity with your brand where all the labels kind of look within the same family, if that makes sense?
The big A is like, known for your big A, and you wrap something around it.
Well, that's a very tough question, because look at it from this perspective. People don't know that Chris Waldron did for us actually about 4, 5, maybe 6 labels. And believe it or not, the container that Sean was just holding, the hydration, was actually made by Chris Waldron. So, it's a normal Apollon container, that you could see. There has to be a branding aspect, just like Nike, just like, things that you can recognize, because that's your reputation. That's who you are. So I think that even if you look at certain brands like Ghost labels are also pretty much all the same. They pretty much all the same, but that's the branding. That's how you recognize that that's Ghost. And I think that's great. I think that that's what we should stick to. If you look at some of my personal favorite products, is actually, if you want, you can have a look at it on your phones. It's by the German company. They're not a lot. Well, they are around, actually. They used to be owned by a big giant ESN, but ESN decided not to do it anymore. The brand used to be called Vayu,
Oh yeah.
VYU, and it's just a big red V, black container, and just a huge red V. Absolutely beautiful. All the containers look like that. It's absolutely amazing. That's the branding, what it should be like, So the emphasis, I think, should be your brand. You should be proud of it, and it should be recognizable. And if it's an A that Apollon does, then great. So it wasn't. I'm not taking anything away from Chris Waldron, because Chris Waldron is great as a designer. But the only two labels that truly stand out that Waldron has done for Apollon are Triumph and Lionheart Stacked Edition. That's it.
Oh, I didn't know he did that. Okay.
The rest of Apollon labels that he has done, like Molotov, like Hydration, those products were nothing outrageous. They were just normal Apollon labels, and they were done by Waldron. The reason why Triumph and Stacked Lionheart look different is because they were limited edition.
Mm.
Like you will see on a limited edition, for example, Cookies and Cream that we have with my daughter's photo on it. That's a different one. It completely stands out. Why? Because it was a limited edition. It kind of stayed permanent, but it's a limited edition. So limited edition, I think you can play a little bit and have a little bit of fun with. But at the end of the day, I think your brand should be recognizable, and there should be a branding aspect that is kind of attached to it. When too much emphasis is put on, making an outrageous label, even Glaxon, as outrageous as the labels were, they were pretty much the same. All of them were recognizable, and they were the same. So that's, I think, what creates branding. That's what creates recognition. That's where oh wow, this is Apollon. Morphogen, all the labels are pretty much the same, whether you like them or you don't like them, but they are about the same. So like you said, predictable. And I think it's good to be predictable, but at the same time, you can have a little bit of fun with it. Like upcoming Hooligan, it's going to be a little bit of fun with it. Like Fuck Mediocre, not many people have noticed, but on the background of Fuck Mediocre, there's an anarchy sign. So it was a transition. We kind of wanted to show that, look, we're still the same rebellion company. We still, for anarchy. And it was released just weeks before we were releasing Anarchy Labs. Shane spotted it right away. He goes to me, I like it. He says, it's very cool. It's in the background. So I think that labels have to be not necessarily predictable. I would mostly use the term recognizable. And should be, like I said, Nike can have different colors, but Nike is Nike. Adidas can have different colors, but the three stripes and Adidas label, Adidas logo should be there. And Louis Vuitton, LV, everywhere. And that's something that I learned actually from my team, and they taught me, like Carolina. I mean, she's very strict with that, and Alina, where they said that your brand should be recognizable, and I fully agree with it, because if you have something quality, if you have something good, then what is more expensive, to create a shiny label or to fully load a pre-workout or any product with quality ingredients? We know that the second one is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. So the questions are blowing up, but we don't know where Shane is. I've texted him, I've called him, I've sent him drones, I've sent him carrier pigeons.
It's very early, so maybe he's still sleeping. It's possible.
Anybody have Amia's number? Can they call her? But Dave, we got a question here from you, from our good friend Chris Galore. Dave, any big fitness goals you're training or starting?
No, actually, I'm 41 years old with 3 small kids. I don't have time to be doing anything more than just doing this for, keeping myself in shape, trying to stay off the injured list. There were points in time, and this is maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where I thought maybe I would compete in some kind of a show, but those thoughts have long gone out of my head. And so now it's just more scratching my daily itch and just trying to, increase the longevity here, be there for my kids, set the example. And that's about it. That's all I have time for anymore.
Are you naturally lean, Dave, or do you have to work at it? Because I've seen your pictures and you're shredded.
Well, I've been in this shape for as long as I can remember. And it's just how my lifestyle is now. There's no bulking season. There's no cutting season. I'm, I fairly maintain all throughout the year. So this is just how I am. This is how I'm wired. And yeah, what you see is what you get now. So
All right. And here's another one
Redefining
here.
that dad bod.
So Dave, we got something again for you. When reviewing products, is there a category you enjoy more? I guess they mean like protein versus pre-workout versus thermos, categories.
Yeah, no, I'd say probably protein actually is probably the more fun one to deal with. And the reason being is, these pre-workouts, a lot of them are great. Some of them are, there's just too many options sometimes. And so you can't go back to that same well all the time for me. I don't want to. But for something like a protein, I do like to do that. I will go through an entire tub like that, of a great protein. A really great pre-workout, I'm still going to cycle that. I'm not the kind of person that uses the same one every single day. That's not everybody's case. Some people can maybe only afford to buy one tub a month, and that's what they're going to stick with. They're going to do 30 days or 20 days or whatever it is of that same one. But for me, no 2 days in a row are the same. But for a protein, that could be different. So I would say that that's probably my favorite category. And I know, Robic, we've talked a lot about wanting to see, full disclosure on this. And when you get a good one that tastes good, that shows you the full disclosure, the full yields, I think that's a home run type supplement for me.
And I have to admit, I noticed after the conversation that we had and all this, when Dave actually reviews the proteins, he's always, most of the time actually does mention the full disclosure and transparency on protein. He actually now kind of maybe the only reviewer that really pays attention to it, which is very admirable. So I want to congratulate you on that, because I think that you, the only one who is lately consistently bringing attention to that, which helps us and companies like NutraBio, the ones that are doing it right. But at the same time, I think that I'm not going to be surprised, and why not? I'll only welcome that when other companies will start doing that, because I see some companies claiming to have 25 grams of protein, 27, even 30 grams of protein, but it's not. I'm not going to say it's a lie, but it's definitely not true. So it's deceiving. And whether they're doing it on purpose or not, that's not for me to judge, but clearly we can point it out. And the fact that you've been pointing it out in your reviews and mentioning it, and I think you've been very consistent about it now, I think that's great.
Well, I've taken some notes here. You know what I mean? These conversations that we have, that's not in one ear and out the other. So you know what I mean? I'm learning to grow my knowledge base too, and what should really be, conveyed to the audience. And
why not? I learned that from Mark Glazier, and I'm not even embarrassed to admit it. I'm actually proud of it. I think learning is great. That's the power.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, too, I bet you a lot of these brand owners that, they don't even know when they are probably told that their protein has 25 grams on the label, that it's less than that. They're just taking it from what the manufacturer says. So
that's the reason why, I kind of shied from attacking anyone. Oh, look, you're cheating or anything like that, because I don't think it's right to attack anyone when you don't know facts. And, when it comes to concentrate, I'm pretty sure they know. I'm pretty sure they know. They know exactly what they're doing when they put in cheaper ingredients, because I know how it works. The manufacturer will usually tell them, oh, look, the isolate's going to cost you this much, but if you're going to mix it with a little bit of concentrate, or concentrate will cost you that much. So they're going to go, oh, look, it's cheaper. I can make more margins. So that I would say 9 out of 10, they know exactly what they're doing. But when it comes to full transparency and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that you're right. Sometimes they just want to invest, they like the industry or something like that, and the manufacturer tells them, oh, this isolate, you're going to have 25 grams of protein per serving, and maybe they genuinely don't know. I didn't know when I was getting into industry. Like I said, Mark Glazier taught me about this. We were sitting in his office, and he actually illustrated to me how it works, the full transparency with protein and stuff like that. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to see it more, not, widespread, but I'm starting to see more and more companies now that, like, I've taken more of a laser-like focus on that, seeing, companies do the yield. And it's nice and refreshing to see that change in that direction. That's for sure. And, I think that, other companies, like you said before too, about the concentrate thing, I just want to add one more point on this. If they're not putting WPC 80 on the label, I think that they're lying to you. I've 100%. Talked to people through DMs, and they said, I just want to confirm if it's WPC 80. And they go, oh, yeah, sure it is. I'm probably being lied to. Because if you were putting WPC 80 on there, I would think you would want to say discreetly, directly, this is WPC 80, not WPC 34.
You're 100% correct. That's why I said, when it comes to concentrate, and and cheaper product. They know exactly what they're doing. They're lying. They know they're lying, and they're trying to save. If it was WPC 80, then it would be a WPC 80 on the label. If it's not, then you can pretty much, when you have the first ingredient WPI, then probably there's definitely more whey protein isolated in the product and less concentrate. Even if it's shit concentrate, there's still less of it. But if it's the first ingredient, you're guaranteed to have. There's actually one company, not gonna say which one. They were oh no, fuck it, I'll say it. Animal. They came up with whey protein, and all they said was there is more isolate in this than concentrate. And they were like, this is whey. They were pushing it strong. But clearly, and plus they manufacture the product. They don't have contract manufacturing where they have to pay for it. So for them to manufacture the product is even cheaper, than buying it from a contract manufacturer. And they were selling it, I believe, for, I want to say $45. I mean, they were making very, very good margins on that. Very good margins. But at the end of the day, it was still concentrate, and it wasn't even the good concentrate. So, and if you say, it's mostly WPI. Okay, mostly WPI. So you're going to put 51% WPI and then 49% of the cheap concentrate garbage. I mean, so how much do you have of protein that you're claiming 25 grams? Maybe 15 grams? Maybe 16, something like that. So the consumer is getting cheated, and cheated not only out of money, but cheated out of quality product. Do they know that? Of course they do.
Off air, Robic, I've got another protein little thing that I want to run by you. We'll maybe touch on this after the show, but I got another little hair on my ass about another protein thing for you.
No problem.
So, Robic, we're going down the manufacturing rabbit hole here. Let me ask you a question. I see more and more companies, again, they're the smaller ones that don't know anything. The labels are out of compliance, misspellings and whatnot. At the end of the day, I know you, the brand owner, are responsible, but if you have a good manufacturer, shouldn't they really say something to you and say, hey, look, dude, you spelled caffeine wrong. Look, this should be this label, or the manufacturers they don't care?
So a good manufacturer will definitely have a QC person who is supposed to go over that. Okay. But the thing is that you have to remember something. We had, even on one of the current labels, we have a product that is misspelled. So for example, Creatine X, and I don't mind sharing this, Creatine X, going back maybe 4 years ago, Senective was misspelled, actually on the front of the label. So the manufacturer, who we no longer work with, missed that. But you know what? I need to take responsibility for that too, because there's a couple of us within the company. Yes, our company is actually run by people that English is not our first language. So we could always use that as an excuse. But our company is an American company. We manufacture our products in the United States. Everything that's written is in English. So it is our fault, 100% our fault. You can't rely on others. You're right. The QC from manufacturers should have not missed that. Yep. But they have. So did we. So 2 or 3 people from our company have missed it. They have missed it. It's not a huge fuck up, but I think it's more of an embarrassing fuck up than a fuck up, that is like do or die, but shouldn't happen. And who spotted it actually? It was Shane. Nobody else has spotted it, even though it was on the front of the label. Shane actually, when he was announcing the product, he reached out to me, and he was very professional about it. He could have said it, at like a dick in the open, but he reached out to me personally, and he goes to me, listen, he goes, I want to tell you something. He says, Senective is misspelled on your label. I was like, fuck. So that was very embarrassing situation, because the company was not as big as it is today. So we had to actually send everything back. We had to pay, obviously to make edits, to change Senective to proper way. And we had to reprint labels, and we had to redo it. Could have we sold it with the misspelled Senective? Yes, but it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It shouldn't be the case. So you're right. The QC for each and every manufacturer is responsible for that and should pay attention to it. For most part, I didn't have many issues in 10 years that we've been running Apollon, but there were a couple of times where they missed it and we missed it. I would say there were instances of misspelled things on our part too, but it's not something that we should be proud of or look at it as a joke, because like I said, somebody like Dave will still buy the product. If it's good product, he will overlook it. It's just not a good look for a premium brand or any brand to have that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I just think you're spending so much money, thousands upon thousands of
Yeah,
dollars. That end of the day, it's you, the owner. You're the end result. But again, they should just tap you on the shoulder, be like, look, this is not labeled right. This is not. But again, neither here nor there.
absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I think that they should be doing a phenomenal job with that. And but again, a human error is a human error. It can happen. So we just had a product that was supposed to be released recently, and the labels came the wrong size.
Oh wow.
So that was, and don't forget, to reprint thousands of labels is expensive. So you have to kind of go and investigate. Is it our fault? Is it our graphic designer's fault? Is it the printer's fault? Is whoever gave us the information about the container, has he fucked up? Who fucked up? Because at the end of the day, a reprint might cost you a lot of money. So these things can happen, and they're very, very unfortunate, and I would say, fairly embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay. So we brought up NutraBio earlier, and someone actually asked, did NutraBio benefit from this whole Ryan Garcia allegations? But before you answer, Robic, I followed this pretty in depth. He is now going after Amino 9, saying an Amino 9 product was spiked because first he tried Prime, and Prime told him to go pound sand. Then he lost to NutraBio. Now he's going after Amino 9. And when they tell him to go pound sand, he's probably going to go after Coca-Cola for the Coke he had yesterday and the fucking Evian bottle of water. But anyway, when does it stop?
I mean, Dave, do you mind? I mean, I'll say my opinion. I think that they say that there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yep.
In my personal opinion, this is a personal opinion. I don't know if it's a fact. I don't know if it's true. It's just an opinion. I think Ryan is full of shit. That's just my personal opinion. I trust NutraBio wholeheartedly. I know Mark Glazer is a fucking maniac. So I know for a fact that not only doesn't do anything illegal or gray area, he would not touch. SARS would never even enter his facility. Everything gets tested and checked and stuff like that. I'm not saying he's a saint. Nobody's a saint. But the fact that, and it got tested also, the batch was tested. When I heard about it, I was laughing because chances of that happening are 1 in a trillion.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. So, and they say, you know what, Mark Glazer's company is going to benefit from that. Well, I don't think so. I might be the only one, and I'll explain why. Because people like me, people like you, people like Dave, we know that NutraBio is a solid company with a proven reputation and track record. So if we need to buy a NutraBio product, we will not hesitate for a split second. We will buy it. If we don't buy it, we don't buy it. We're not going to be swayed one way or the other. So it's irrelevant. However, Ryan Garcia is a fighter. He's a boxer. What are the chances that a fighter that is getting drug tested, that he's living from fighting, that his livelihood depends on that, his sponsorship, his future, he doesn't know NutraBio the way we do.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to buy the products made by NutraBio? Do you think he's going to take that chance? I don't think so. I would say that a lot of athletes, a lot of drug tested athletes, a lot of Olympian athletes, fighters will hesitate to buy a NutraBio product because on the back of their mind, they're going to be worried, what if? And I think that it's hurting the company. It's something that potentially maybe should result. I mean, I'm not advising or anything like that. There should be repercussions for Garcia for making such allegations because they're obviously not true. But to say that NutraBio is benefiting from it, what do you think? Their sales are going to increase because a few idiots are going to hope that he sells illegal substances now. So they're going to buy a few products from NutraBio hoping that they're going to get an extra kick from it. How many? 5, 10, 100? people that are NutraBio supporters are going to continue supporting NutraBio. That's not going to go away. But the potential customers and fighters, this is all over the news. This is all over the world. This is a known now thing that happened. I know that fighters, I even heard that already, are now, I'm not going to buy NutraBio products. I hesitate to buy them. What if?
Jeez.
So, I don't think that this is one of those publicities that is good, that's going to result in a lot of money, a lot of revenue extra for NutraBio. I don't think so.
I'm with you on that. I don't think that this is good publicity for them. The reason being, you mentioned the fighter population. What is that? 0.0001% of the people that buy supplements. But what I will say is people that heard the story and don't hear the follow-up on the story. Maybe all they've heard was that NutraBio is linked to
illegal
this.
substances.
Tainted.
Yeah, and they don't follow up and they don't hear the second story that, yeah, it's clean. It wasn't the case. They're just going to remember, I just remember hearing NutraBio was, associated with this. So that's going to forever stay in their mind. The other thing that I don't think that Mark Glazier did enough, or the brand, is defend themselves enough.
I agree.
Yes, they put out a statement.
I expected that he's going to come guns blazing. He didn't.
I think they needed to do that. I mean, they put out something on Instagram and it was one of those slide things where it was like 4 or 5 slides saying that, we're a clean facility.
The story was in mainstream media and the whole world saw it. You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree
that
more.
was not enough. That was not enough to solidified that's not how they operate. I think they made a mistake on that.
Robert, this is more your world than mine. Maybe you can answer it. But with boxing, how often are they tested prior to the fight, or is it the week of the fight? Because somebody commented saying somewhere that they could test it like every month. They're kind of defending Ryan, that it wasn't like the week of. Or do you know the answer to that?
You know what? Every federation, every MMA, boxing, or whatnot, they have their own rules. So it's very, very hard to answer that, because most of the time, like, I was drug tested once and I failed the drug test. But
how long before the fight? How long before your fight were you tested?
The day of the fight. Day of the fight. So I was tested in New Jersey before the fight, and I was told that it's going to be. I was actually an amateur, and they told me that for amateurs it's going to be only random testing. So I said, well, I'm on TRT, which I was. And they told me that if you're on TRT, you have nothing to worry about. I was like, okay. So I came in and I was pretty jacked. I mean, I looked the part. And as soon as I walked into arena, I was pulled aside and they said, you have to do a drug test. And it was the day off. And, I submitted it, obviously. And after the fight, I think maybe a couple of weeks after, I was notified that I failed the drug test. And I said, well, I have prescription that, that I'm using it for TRT. They said that's not acceptable. So I was suspended for a year. But the point is that some federations don't test at all. Some federations, they test the day off. And some, like, for example, USADA used to be part of UFC. Now they have something different. They test anytime. Anytime. They call it a drug pool, where you're in a drug pool as long as you're an active fighter. They can show up at your house. You actually have to submit where you're going to be. If you're traveling, you have to notify them that from such date to such date, I'm going to be in Minnesota or something like that. They can show up in Minnesota and they can drug test you at 6 a.m. at any time. So that's with UFC. I know Bellator, which is MMA, that's also a random drug test. So whenever, I think the day off or a week off or something like that. And then boxing, I'm not sure, but like I said, they obviously have a drug test. But most of the time it was the day off or the day or immediately after the fight, something like that. But yeah, they can drug test, and there are a lot of them, and they also test for different things. So everybody makes up their own rule. It's actually all over the place. It's not very universal.
Did you win the fight or did you lose the fight regardless?
I lost.
All right, so maybe it wasn't that bad then. Easier pill to swallow, maybe.
It was, still fucked up thing. I mean, but like I said, it's just one of those things. You never know. But the thing is that I know for a fact, and Dave is 100% on point here. Do fighters buy supplements? Actually, today they do, and they buy a lot, but it's still like it's a minuscule percentage in comparison to a mainstream population. And NutraBio has a very, very decent size mainstream population as well. They have a very good reputation. But when somebody hears on Fox or CNN or or reads it in some kind of a mainstream magazine or media that a company called NutraBio possibly had illegal substances in their products, that person might hesitate purchasing those products now. And again, I actually didn't even think about it. So Dave he nailed it. I don't think NutraBio has done enough, not nearly enough. Releasing a couple of statements on social media where they followed by, thousands of people is not enough, because the potential damage was a lot greater than just putting up a post on social media. That's not enough. When somebody makes allegations, you're defending your company, you're defending your brand. And especially if it's not true, you're defending your livelihood. So you have to go guns blazing and make sure that just as many people heard about the fact that you're potentially selling tainted supplements, that number of people should hear that you're not.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, Shane just texted me now. He said the whole family has the flu. He slept the day away and he's lost his voice. So Shane, speedy recovery here. Dave, I'll throw this out to you here. How do you think legacy brands like Gaspari and Labrada compare to the new age brands like Ghost, Apollon, and others? You've been in the business for a while now.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. It's amazing. Those two companies that you just mentioned are two of 6 legacy brands that I think everybody knew of back in the day. MuscleTech, BSN, Labrada, Gaspari. Those were the ones that when I was making my entrant into the supplement space, that's all that I knew. And it's amazing that those companies are still around, to be quite honest, when I don't hear anything from them. And I'm on social media, seeing all the new things that are going on, but I don't see that kind of presence from them. But yet they're still, I don't know if I would want to say still, like monster companies, because I don't know that they are, but you take like an Optimum Nutrition. I don't see any marketing from them, but I know that they're still fucking huge. They're in Costco. It's just like a world-renowned brand like that. Personally, I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't have any interest in those brands anymore, but I nothing about those brands really stops me dead in my tracks and says I need to stop and try this. It's just, there's not too much innovation or flashiness enough to defer my attention away from brands that have been working hard to make a foothold for themselves lately.
I think you hit it on the head, because with Labrada, I see them in all the Costco's, the BJ's, all those now. I think they're doing more mass market. With Gaspari, I don't see anything from the supplement line. I see Rich working out and getting lit up on all his comments about how bad his form is in the gym nowadays. But I don't know if they're still living in the 90s or early 2000s before social media was around, and they're not hiring the right social media people. I don't know. And like the young bucks, like the Apollons and the Ghosts, everybody else are now taking over.
Yeah.
Robert, anything to add to that? Or
I think Dave put it very, very. He put it very well. They still exist. They clearly at least Labrada took a different course for sure. He's trying to be more mainstream. He's trying to go after the mainstream America, which the only thing I don't understand, I totally get it that, that Hunter Labrada is his son. So he is connected to the brand. I just don't see how the company benefits from having him as an athlete when they clearly not targeting bodybuilding. I saw them at a couple of shows, but it doesn't seem like they have interest in bodybuilding. They shifted their interest to the mainstream America. Yeah. And, maybe it works out for them. Great. In terms of Gaspari is from New Jersey. I think that the company's, I don't know, it's a little weird now. They were this huge mega company, and now I don't see much from them. And I think the main thing is what Dave pointed out is there is lack of innovation. It almost seems like they're not interested, because let's face it, you can hire a few people. I'm pretty sure they have the money. They can hire the right marketing people. They can hire the right advisors, but it seems like they shifted the interest elsewhere. Gaspari, I still see attending like bodybuilding shows, and he's trying, but at the same time, I see nothing coming from them. So I think they just have probably some loyal following from back in the day, guys who are today in their 50s and 60s and 70s. But in terms of winning the young population, because can you see, for example, Gaspari or Labrada hiring an influencer to influence people to buy their products? I think
Yeah.
that they egomaniacs, that they would not allow themselves for somebody else to represent the name Gaspari and Labrada. It has to be Lee, and it has to be Rich. And let's face it, both of them are I think in their 60s or something.
Yeah.
You
What if
know,
they're burnt out though? I wonder if they're just burnt out too. They've been doing this 30 years. They were the first two like bodybuilder brands to be successful in the 90s.
yeah, and something tells me that they're still making okay money. I
Oh yeah.
think they're still doing okay. It's just I don't think that in our space necessarily they, as much as I don't want to say it, but I can't find another word for it. I don't think they're relevant.
Yeah.
It might come off a little bit mean, but I just don't find another word for it.
Yeah, it's like they're living off their reputation from
Yeah.
20 years ago. That's how I kind of view it.
Yeah.
But how far does that go though? I mean, it's like how long can you milk? I mean, you had a good run with Branch when Branch was still a couple of years into retirement. But when you look at Lee and Rich, they're 25, 30 years past retirement here, or 25 years past retirement.
Well, it's hard to answer because none of us are exactly immortal. Everything comes to an end sooner or later, and I wish them many many years of health and success. I don't know Lila Brada, but I know Gaspari, and he's always been cool with me, and he comes from Apollon, so I have nothing but respect for him. But at the same time, I think that their names and themselves are actually representing the brand the best.
Yep.
Can you see somebody else? I mean, I don't even know who the fuck runs Ghost. I honestly don't. I mean, I know a couple of people that are attached to the brand, but who is the real owner? Who calls the shots? I have no idea. That's the reason why it doesn't matter who runs Ghost. Ghost is Ghost. So the brand can continue successfully for many, many years to come. Gaspari and Lee, you know exactly who runs those companies, and you know exactly whose names are attached to the brands. What happens after they no more? I mean, let's face it, the guys are both in their 60s. They're still relatively fit. Labrada is in phenomenal shape.
Yes.
Rich, I mean, he trains. I mean, he's okay for a guy his age. I think he's doing well. But at the end of the day, they guys in their 60s. That's just the fact.
Yeah. So, guys, as we wind down, this is for me. I always like to end on kind of a funny question here. Okay, so Dave, I'll go to you. Who would play you in a movie, and who would play your wife? Yeah, I know it's gonna laugh. I'll wind down with something funny.
This came out of nowhere.
I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, this is going to take some real thinking. I don't even know if I could answer this, Sean. I don't know. This might be a pass.
I think the answering who's going to play his wife might really get him in trouble.
Yeah.
Who's going to play him doesn't matter, but who's going to play his wife might get him in some serious deep shit.
All right, Robert, you're a movie connoisseur like I am. Come on now. Who would play you and who would play Carolina? I'm sorry, Marina. Wow, 14 slip there.
Who would play me? Well, you see, the natural thing for me to answer would be Jean-Claude Van Damme, but the fucker is much older than I am, so I don't want him to play me. Yeah.
We'll take the age out. Let's take out the age thing, but again, in their prime, who would play you and who would play Marina?
Shit. Okay, let's go. Let's go with Jean-Claude Van Damme because I mean he's the one who got me into this, so that probably would be my natural answer.
Okay.
With Marina,
Doesn't it be a look like
Sylvester Stallone. Well, think about it. Marina used to compete, so we need somebody who's in great shape. And now we live in the age of political correctness. So if I answer Sylvester Stallone, I'm politically correct. There is nothing you can say about it. So that makes me very, very up to date with current times. But seriously though, if I'm played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, then I guess a female actress would be. Let's go with somebody older too. Julia Roberts or Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone. Wow. Okay, that was a left field.
There you go.
All right, you guys will laugh at this. I'll end on this. So I've been told by both my kids' friends that I look like Will Ferrell, and of course I gotta go with Charlize Theron. Just beauty and brains and everything else.
She's
So,
gorgeous.
Good choice.
But guys, as always, good conversation. Anything we missed here, or we'll let everybody get back to the rest of their day here.
Well, I know that Dave probably is dying to get back to his party.
Yes, yeah. I did get the warning text message of how much longer will you be? So
Yeah. So yeah, let's get off the air. Wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and I'm dying to hear what Dave has to ask me or to say.
Yes.
That
So
protein question is been on the back of my mind now.
So happy 4th of July to everybody watching and listening. We will not be doing the show Sunday, but tune in this Tuesday when we do a Tuesday night bare knuckle with Supplement Snoop. As always, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Take care, guys.
thanks. Bye-bye.